Invoice means the sales added with your tax, but here tax has to be excluded. The business is all about any trade and commerce, any activity transaction, any activity of transaction in the nature of subclause. What is debit note? Means a document issued by a registered person under subsection 2(3). Manufacturing is what? Converting raw material into finished goods, and that product must be ready to sell. That is called manufacture. A warm welcome to one and all. This is your Adarsh sir, lecturing Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. We are discussing your Unit 2, Session 3, Goods and Service Tax, and the unit called Goods and Service Tax, Framework and Definitions. We already completed the topic called Framework, and we are talking about the definitions. Now, so the agenda for this session, it is all about definition, all small definitions, and in this you are not supposed to learn each and everything. Just for 2 marks, what is worth, that much only you are supposed to prepare. Now, the first one, agent. Now, each definitions are important, as well as each definitions will carry marks. So remember, we will going to study around 9 to 10 definitions. Out of 10, 2 definitions you can expect for your examination for 2 marks each. Sometimes for the 10 marks, they will ask you 3 or 4 definitions of 2.5 marks each. Now, first one, agent. It means a person including a factor. We can call him as factor, broker, commission agent, aratia, del trader, agent, and auctioneer, or any other mercantile agent by whatever name called, who carries on the business of supply or receipt of goods and services both on behalf of another. Agent, usually we call it as he works for commission. Even in consignment, we'll go with del trader. He'll get a commission called del trader commission. So these are called as agent. Hope you understood who are called as agent. Now, we call it as aggregate turnover. Your all the 15 marks problems, it is on aggregate turnover, which are called as aggregate turnover. Now, the aggregate value of all the taxable supplies, excluding the value of inward supplies, on which tax is payable by the person on reverse charge basis. I'll explain you what is reverse charge mechanism or reverse charge basis while doing the problems. Now, exempt supplies, export of goods or services, are both and interstate supplies of person having the same permanent account number, we call it as PAN number, to be computed on all India basis, but excludes central tax, state tax, union territory tax, and integrated tax and cess. These are called as aggregate turnover. Remember, aggregate turnover means all the export. Import means it is purchase. All the export and all kind of sales will be included, excluding all the taxes are excluded. Remember, all the taxes are excluded. That is not considered as turnover. Turnover means what? Sales. We are not talking about invoice. Invoice means the sales added with your tax, but here tax has to be excluded. Then assessment, determination of tax liability under this act and includes self-assessment, reassessment, provisional assessment, summary assessment, and best judgment assessment. So these are the assessment, as I told you, for your 2 marks, or in the last unit you have a 10-mark question regarding assessment procedure. Under assessment procedure, we have topic called self-assessment, reassessment, provision assessment, summary assessment, and best judgmental assessment. And the next topic is called as business. Business include any trade or commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager, contract. So in the contract act, you will get wager contract. It is very simple. What is wager contract means? It is which are unpredictable. It is not in my hand. It is not even in your hand. Assume that today it will rain. Is it in my hand? No. I'll bet you today it will rain for 1000 rupees. You will bet that no, it will not rain. So these are called as vague contract. Or India-Pakistan match. I'll say that India will win. You will say that Pakistan will win. Vague contract. Hope you are clear. Which are uncontrollable. You cannot go and play. You cannot tell them to hit like this. But by looking at the TV, just you can predict that India will win. Pakistan will win. That is called as vague contract. Now, any other similar activities, whether or not, if it is a pecuniary benefit. Now, third one, any activity or transaction in connection with the incidental or auxiliary to sub clause. Incidental means what? For example, the main target from sugar cane to we convert to what? Sugar. But auxiliary what? You can get jaggery also. Yes, that is sub. So the main intention is what? To manufacture sugar, to process sugar. But simultaneously you are getting jaggery also. These are called as auxiliary business. Any activity or transaction in the nature of subclause A, whether or not there is a volume, frequency, continuity or regularity of such transaction. So these are called as business. You learn what are the assessment. There are types of assessment for 2 marks. You have to remember reassessment, self-assessment, summary assessment, best judgment assessment, which are very important. Then you have to learn about business. The business is all about any trade and commerce, any activity transaction, any activity of transaction in the nature of subclause. Now, these are your definition for business. Supply or acquisition of goods including capital goods and services. See, the capital goods, purchase of machinery, purchase of motor vehicle, all comes under capital goods. Then provision by club, association, society, any. Club usually they provide what? Food. They provide food. So that comes under provision by club and association. Admission for the consideration of person to any premises. Then services supplied by the person as the holder of an office. Then services supplied by the person as the holder of, yes. Then activities of race club, including by the way of totalizator or license to bookmaker or activities. The next one, any activity or transaction undertakes by the central government or a state government, all comes under business. Again, I'll go back to your previous definition. Business includes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, all considered as business. Now, capital goods, this is also very important. Remember the definition as per your income tax, the definition for your GST completely differs. Now, capital goods means goods, the value of which is capitalized in the books of account or of the person claiming the input tax credit and which are used or intended to be used in the course of manufacturing, furtherance of business. Then, what are the casual taxable person? Means a person who casually undertakes transaction involving supply of goods or services are both in the course of furtherance of business, whether as principal agent or in any other capacity. These are called as casual taxable person. Now, central tax, casual taxable person, CTP, already we have learned in the previous session. Now, central tax means the central goods and services tax levied under section 9. Just remember the section 9, that is called central tax. Composite supply, again we are learning composite supply again and again. As I told you, composition scheme means one fixed tax rate will be there. That tax rate is calculated on what? Turnover, selling price, not on the profit. Now, means supply made by a taxable person to a recipient consisting of 2 or more taxable supplies of goods or services or both, any combination thereof, which are naturally bundled and supplied in conjunction with each other in the ordinary course of business, one of which is a principal supply. Now, Illustration: in case where the goods are packed and transported with insurance, the supply of goods, packing, material, transport and insurance is a composite supply, and supply of goods is a principal supply. What is a principal? What is a composite supply? Means supply of goods is called as principal supply, and doing packing, transportation, insurance all comes under composite supply. It is a bunch of many. Then continuous supply of goods. What is continuous supply of goods? For example, you ordered something and you are getting that particular order or particular goods on installment basis. January month you will get something, February some portion, March, April, May, June. Every month you are getting a part by part. If 100%, 10%, like next 10 months you are getting everything, which is provided or agreed to be provided continuously or non-recurrent basis under a contract, whether or not by means of a wire, cable, pipeline, other conduct, and for which the supplier invoices the recipient on a regular period. For example, you need a wire or you need a cable, big cable. You need, for example, area wise you are working, and this month you need for Vijayanagar, next month you need for another XYZ place, then you need for Bangalore. So what the supplier will do, they manufacture and they will serve. They will manufacture, they will serve. January they will give 5 ton, February they will give the ton wise or the cable the length wise, this much meters in a month. That is called continuous supply. Clear? Next. The next one we have continuous supply of services. The previous one is continuous supply of goods, and the next one is continuous supply of services. A supply of services which is provided or agreed to be provided continuously or recurrent basis under a contract for a period exceeding 3 months with a periodic payment obligation, and includes supply of such services as a government may object to such condition. Periodic basis means this month some amount, next month. Periodically they will supply. Then credit note, debit note, electronic cash ledger. What is credit note? Simple one. Document issued by a registered person under subsection 2, subsection 1. What is debit note? Means a document issued by a registered person under subsection 2, 3. For 2 marks, if they ask you debit note and credit note, you have to write this one. Next, electronic cash ledger means the electronic cash ledger referred to in subsection this. So no need to explain actually, because for 2 marks they may ask you what is debit and credit note. This much is more than sufficient for 2 marks. Exempted supply. As I told you, the few supplies are completely considered as exempted. For example, if you do supply to any special economic zone, that is exempted. If you do supply for any scientific research purpose, government, it is exempted. Any branch transfers are there, exempted. So now, supply of any goods or services, both which attract nil rate of tax or which may be wholly exempt from tax under section 11 or under section 6 of the Integrated Goods and Service Tax Act, and includes non-taxable supply. We consider for turnover but will not consider for taxable turnover. Again I'll repeat, we consider these supplies for turnover but will not consider these supplies for taxable turnover. Then goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security, but includes actionable goods. See, actionable goods also called growing crops, grass and things attached to the farming. If you cut that, then it is not considered as this thing, good. Then part of the land which are agreed to be served before supplier under contract of supply. Next, Integrated Goods and Service Tax. Already you know that IGST, integrated tax. These are only definitions, you remember this. Most of the definitions already you know actually, but just you have to read it once. Then Input Service Distributor, ISD. Very important for 2 marks. What is meant by ISD? Input Service Distributor means an office of the supplier of goods or service, both which receives tax invoice, issued under Section 31 towards the recipient of input service and issued to prescribe document for the purpose of distributing the credit of central and state tax, integrated tax or union territory tax paid on the said services to supplier taxable goods or services, both having a same permanent account number, are called as input service distributor. You have to remember this definition. Why? Because out of this definition, there is a most important definition. Intra-state supply, you know that within the state, if you do any supply or sales or something, that is called intra-state. Then intra-state supply of services. One is goods, physically you can see that. One is services, you can feel the services. And the next one is manufacture. Processing of raw material or input in any manner that result in emergence of a new product having distinct name, character and use and term manufacture shall be constructed accordingly. Manufacturing is what? Converting raw material into finished goods, and that product must be ready to sell. That is called manufacture. Now, market value shall means the full amount which a recipient of supply is required to pay in order to obtain the goods or service of both like kind and quality. For example, MRP 10 rupees mentioned on the packet, mentioned on the back side of that particular cover, that is called as your market value. Market value means the value which are ready to sell, which are ready to buy by the customer. Mixed supply, this is very important for your 2 marks. In this, 2 or more individual supplies of goods or services, any combination made in conjunction with each other by taxable person for single price where such supply does not constitute composite. There is a difference between composite supply and mixed supply. Composite supply, already I explained you, your transportation, packing and insurance all comes together, we call it as composite supply. What is mixed supply? Supply of package consists of canned foods, sweets, chocolate, cake. Very simple. For example, if you call any guest for speech or something, while going you will give a basket. In basket what will be there? Fruits will be there, dry fruits will be there, the sweet box will be there. All put together you will give a big basket. One flower or this thing, one flower bucket will be there. All put together we call it as mixed supply. Hope you are clear. Mixed supply means all are different but together you are giving. That is called mixed supply. Now, when supplied for a single price is a mixed supply. Each of this item can be supplied separately and is not. See, usually fruits can be issued separately. Sweets can be given separately. Flour can be given separately. But all put together, put it in a bag and give. That is called mixed supply. Hope you are clear? Yes. Non-resident taxable person means any person who occasionally undertakes transaction involving supply of goods are called as non-resident. He is not in regular basis. Once in a year, twice in a year, he does the supply, who are called as non-resident taxable supply. Non-taxable supply means, as I told you, there are many supplies are there which are non-taxable, like any supply made to this special economic zone, we call it as non-taxable supplies. Then, non-taxable territory, the places where tax is not charged. Output tax. So, any taxes on sales, we call it as output tax. Outward supply, it is also on sales only. Person include, already we have learned, individual, Hindu, company, firm, limited liability, association of person. So same thing, even all the corporate bodies, body corporate, local authority, society, trust, every artificial person comes under person. Place of supply, time of supply and value of supply will go in detail while doing the supply, the particular unit you have for that. State tax, whatever the tax collected in the state. Supplier. Who is a supplier? Who makes the invoice, who manufactures, who delivers the goods, who was called a supplier. Now, in relation to goods or services, both shall mean the person supplying the said goods or services, both and shall include an agent acting as such a behalf such supplier is relation to goods or services. Now, What is a tax period? What is a taxable person? Tax period, as you know that in income tax always starts from 1st April, ends 31st March. But this tax period is different compared to your direct tax. Taxable person, the person who was liable to pay tax, we call it as taxable person. Taxable supply, taxable territory, you know that. State goods and service tax, it is not SGST. Turnover in state turnover, as I told you, there are few goods or few items are there which are not taxable. There are few items are there which are taxable. Yes. Once you are done with, the next topic is called as Union Territory. So already I gave you the list of Union Territory. Andaman, Lakshadweep, Dadra, Ladakh, Chandigarh and other. These things comes under Union Territory. It is a separate calculation for this thing. Union Territory tax, Union Territory goods and service, works contract. These things are not much important. Just you have to glance once for it is included in the syllabus. You may expect questions but not important. So this is all about your topic called definition. With this, we end the topic called definition. In this definition, you have to spend, or if you're not able to read, just watch this video once so that you can remember or memorize during the examination. Thank you.